Hello everyone. I hope you all are liking the series started by Vayu Punk on geopolitics. We also try to cover some relevant burning topics. You must have seen that. Today, we are going to cover a very important relevant topic which you all should know. So please focus. Here we go. EU, NATO, BRICS, G20, Quad. ये नाम हम रोज खबरों में सुनते हैं, लेकिन इनका असली मतलब क्या है? You know, it is a complicated world out there, filled with all these organizations, alliances, and blocs. In this lecture, we are going to decode all these important acronyms we see flying around in the news, that too in a chronological order. We will try to cover the why, when, where of these groups, and more importantly, relevance to India. What they are actually doing today to steer the future. Are they really shaping the world? Okay, so to really understand what is happening now, हमें उस दौर में वापस जाना होगा जब दुनिया बिल्कुल बिखरी हुई थी. The dream of global unity came in after World War I. The world said no to war. Never again these wars should happen. And they created the League of Nations in 1920. आइडिया बहुत अच्छा था कि भाई झगड़े बातचीत से सुलझाओ, जंग से नहीं. The problem? It just did not have any teeth. It couldn't stop the world from sliding into another, even worse war. मतलब League of Nations Second World War को रोकने में बुरी तरह फेल हो गई. And from that failure of League of Nations in 1945, something new was built, the United Nations. इसे ज्यादा ताकत दी गई और उसने इस ग्लोबल ऑर्डर की नींव रखी जिसे हम आज जानते हैं. The UN is still at it, trying to keep the peace. India was a founding member and a huge contributor to peacekeeping missions. But that dream of everyone holding hands and getting along, that didn't last long. United Nations बनने के बाद भी दुनिया में पूरी तरह अमन नहीं हुआ. दुनिया जल्द ही दो खेमों में बट गई. A totally different kind of conflict took over the world. This wasn't a shooting war. It was a war of ideas. एक तरफ था अमेरिका और उसके कैपिटल साथी और दूसरी तरफ सोवियत यूनियन और उसका कम्युनिस्ट ब्लॉक. यहीं से शुरू हुआ एक नया टकराव जिसमें सुपर पावर्स के बीच सीधी लड़ाई तो नहीं थी, पर टेंशन और प्रॉक्सी वॉर्स की भरमार थी. जी हाँ, द कोल्ड वॉर. एंड इट स्प्लिट द एंटायर प्लैनेट राइट डाउन द मिडल. And in this new divided world came NATO in picture in 1949. NATO मतलब North Atlantic Treaty Organization, a massive military alliance standing against the Soviet Union with great principle. एक पर हमला, सब पर हमला. So all will defend together. लेकिन सभी देश इस लड़ाई का हिस्सा नहीं बनना चाहते थे और 1961 में यहीं पर एंट्री होती है NAM की, यानी नॉन अलाइंड मूवमेंट. इट वॉज लेड बाई नेशंस लाइक इंडिया, इजिप्ट एंड यूगोस्लाविया. NAM उन देशों का ग्रुप था जो ना तो अमेरिका के साथ थे और ना ही सोवियत यूनियन के. वो अपनी एक आजाद फॉरेन पॉलिसी रखना चाहते थे. दे सेड नो, वी आर नॉट पिकिंग साइड्स, वी आर गोइंग टू स्टे इंडिपेंडेंट. सो नाउ पीपल हैड ए चॉइस. USA led NATO or India led NAM. That is, you could refuse to play the game at all, and that is what a lot of countries did. And then the year 1991, बर्लिन की दीवार गिर गई. The Soviet Union falls apart. The Cold War is over, and the whole world map gets scrambled again. इसके साथ ही वर्ल्ड ऑर्डर पूरी तरह बदल गया. दुनिया बाइपोलर नहीं रही, यानी दो सुपर पावर्स के दबदबे वाली नहीं रही, बल्कि ये हो गई मल्टीपोलर. मतलब ये कि ग्लोबल स्टेज पर कई नए पावर सेंटर्स उभर कर आए जो इकोनॉमी और पॉलिटिक्स दोनों तरह से अपना असर दिखा रहे थे. बट देन फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस हिट एंड दे रियलाइज दे नीड द बिग इमर्जिंग इकोनॉमीज एट द टेबल. द न्यू गेम ऑफ मनी एंड इकोनॉमिक पावर स्टार्टेड हियर. And at the same time, a totally different idea, political and economic integration of European states, which was taking root in Europe since 1957, started reshaping. By the year 1991, we had well-established EU, the European Union. The plan was, let us weave our economies together so tightly that going to the war with each other becomes literally unthinkable. Suddenly, countries started teaming up with their neighbors in regional blocks. क्योंकि अक्सर सबसे मजबूत सहयोग की शुरुआत अपने घर के पास अपने पड़ोसियों के बीच से ही होती है ना? कुछ खास रीजनल प्लेयर्स लाइक रीजनल इकोनॉमिक पावर हाउसेस लाइक एशियान in Southeast Asia came in existence to keep things stable and growing in Southeast Asia. इस ग्रुप ने एक ऐसे रीजन को जो ऐतिहासिक रूप से बटा हुआ था, इकोनॉमिक और पॉलिटिकल कोऑपरेशन के एक कामयाब ब्लॉक में बदल दिया, जो बाकियों के लिए एक मिसाल बन गया. Then G7 was formed in 1975, basically the club of the big advanced economies. एक समय ग्रुप्स लाइक EU and G7 वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमी पर राज करते थे. ये डेवलप्ड नेशंस के इकोनॉमिक क्लब्स थे जो ग्लोबल पॉलिसीज को दिशा देते थे. आप इन्हें पुराने सिस्टम के रखवाले यानी गार्जियंस ऑफ ओल्ड ऑर्डर भी कह सकते हैं. बट दे डिडंट स्टे अनचैलेंज्ड फॉर लॉन्ग. न्यू प्रॉब्लम्स वर पॉपिंग अप. You had unattended nations, economies shifting, which means we needed a whole new set of clubs and alliances to deal with them. And this period was just an explosion of new groups. And this timeline tells such a fascinating story of that power shift. In 1985, in South Asia, SAARC was formed, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. इसका मकसद भारत पाकिस्तान जैसे देशों के बीच कोऑपरेशन को बढ़ाना था. हालांकि मेंबर्स के बीच पॉलिटिकल टेंशन के चलते इस ग्रुप को अक्सर चुनौतियों का सामना करना पड़ता है और ये लगभग डोर्मेंट स्टेज में पड़ा हुआ है. Then in 1995, to deal with another kind of threat, a slower creeping one, we started having these huge yearly meetings in the form of the COP, that is Conference of Parties. These summits were trying to get a handle on climate change. The COP conferences are about planetary survival and what our shared environmental future is going to look like. And let me tell you, the world today is not a simple two-player game like the Cold War. It is not a one-player game either. It is more like a chaotic, multi-dimensional chessboard with a whole bunch of powerful players all making moves at the same time. The kind of problems that are so huge, no single country, not even the most powerful one, can fix them on its own. Like nuclear weapons. To stop the nightmare of nuclear war from spreading, we got treaties like the NPT in 1968 and CTBT in 1996. NPT, Non-Proliferation Treaty, and CTBT, Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. Both were these massive global efforts to try and put the nuclear genie back in the bottle. Right in India's backyard, you have got BIMSTEC, Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, an international organization of 7 South Asian and Southeast Asian nations. It was founded in 1997. By the end of 20th century, the G7, which was like the exclusive country club for the world's richest economies for a long time, had to face reality. Now, you could not talk about the global economy without inviting players like India and China to the table. So the G20 was born in 1999. You could literally see the strategic pushing and pulling happening in real time between these groups. G20 दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी इकोनॉमीज का सबसे अहम फोरम बन चुका था. The India was the proud host in 2023. And just look at this number. This group represents about 85% of the entire global economy. That is why the G20 is so incredibly important even today. It is the one table where the established powers and the rising powers have to talk to each other about the world's biggest financial problems. Okay, let's fast forward to groups and corridors formed in the 21st century. The game again changed to meet changing world scenario. Now it is all about strategic chats to handle new rivalries and a whole new kind of power struggle. It's not about treaties anymore. It is about something much more concrete. It is a high-stake race to build the actual arteries of trade, these massive economic corridors. We are talking about building massive strategic networks, continent-crossing highways and ports. Basically a race to control the global supply chains of tomorrow. In 2000, INSTC, International North-South Transport Corridor, came in picture. A north-south route linking India up to Russia. A lot of people say this as a direct response to China's plan. And the scale of this corridor is just wow. That is whooping 7,200 kilometers long route. I mean, think about that. This is not just about getting stuff from one point to another a little faster. This is about fundamentally redrawing the map of global trade, decoding, deciding who gets connected and who gets left out. इसके बाद Shanghai Cooperation Organization (SCO), stretching across Eurasia, was formed in 2001. It is dominated by China and Russia. It focuses on security in Eurasia. This is a huge bloc and India is also on board. It is all about security and economic ties. And it offers a very different vision for how the world should work compared to the West. In 2002, you got huge organizations like the African Union that are driving peace and development for an entire continent. And then you have a real game changer, BRICS, in 2009. That is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And as on date, there are very many other nations, and it has become BRICS Plus. Basically, a group of rising powers getting together and saying, we are going to build our own table. इसने पुराने ऑर्डर को चैलेंज किया. ये ऐसी उभरती हुई इकोनॉमी थी जो अब वेस्टर्न देशों के दबदबे को मानने के लिए बिल्कुल तैयार नहीं थी. वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमी में इसका हिस्सा पहले ही बहुत बड़ा था और ये बढ़ता ही जा रहा था. ये कहानी सिर्फ पैसों की नहीं, बल्कि ब्रिक्स की जो असली ताकत है ना, वो है इसके लोग. दुनिया की आबादी का लगभग 41%. सोचो, लगभग 41% लोग इन्हीं देशों में रहते हैं जो ब्रिक्स में हैं. ये सिर्फ एक नंबर नहीं है, इसका मतलब समझिए. इसका मतलब है बिग मार्केट्स, एक बहुत बड़ी वर्कफोर्स और जबरदस्त ह्यूमन रिसोर्स विद पोटेंशियल. एक ऐसी शक्ति जिसे दुनिया चाह कर भी इग्नोर नहीं कर सकती. Then comes CPEC in 2015, the corridor connecting China to Pakistan, which is the crown jewel of China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, a very strategic move. This is what global teamwork looks like nowadays. The world's richest countries forming their own little VIP clubs, and for the very first time, the whole world coming together to talk about huge threats that affect every single one of us, like climate change and cyber attacks. Here, this was the moment everyone started thinking locally to act globally. Countries figured out a smart idea for business and for security. Like formation of Quad, a quadrilateral group. It was initiated in 2007 but revived in 2017. It's a strategic security dialogue between Australia, India, Japan, and the US. It is seen as a direct response to China's sea expansion policy. I mean, it is specifically built to handle the really complex security challenges we are seeing in the Indo-Pacific region nowadays. These global players teamed up to make sure the Indo-Pacific region stays free and open for all. It is more of a strategic huddle between four big democracies with a lot of ocean between them, and this is where geopolitics gets real. And then you see these other routes popping up. The brand new IMEC in 2023, India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. It was announced in 2023 at the G20 summit in New Delhi. These are basically alternate paths with a competing vision for how to connect Asia with Europe through Middle East. Now you may see for yourself that we are not just talking about paper agreements anymore, or we are not just talking about roads and ports here. These are massive bets on what the future of trade and power is going to look like. We are talking about giant corridors of concrete and steel ports, railways, highways. The goal is same, foster cooperation and boost the economy. और ये सब आज की सिचुएशन को एकदम क्लियरली पोर्ट्रे करता है, बताता है कि the age of domination of a country is over. The fate is of competitive forces and changing alliances. It really is a new great game. Just look at the matrix of power. You have got the United Nations, our global peacekeeper, NATO, the ultimate security blanket, the G20, the world's economic dashboard. You've got BRICS, the up and corners shaking things up, the Quad keeping an eye on the Indo-Pacific, and these new trade arteries like IMEC literally paving the future of commerce. It is all connected, it is all competitive, and it is all happening right now. So, the big question is, where does a country like India fit into all this? How do you play the game when you are a rising power in a world with so many different teams? This is what is so fascinating about India's spot on the world's stage right now. If you have realized that in all these organizations, corridors, groups, Bharat का बहुत अहम रोल है. Think about it. It is a founder of the original clubs like the United Nations and the non-aligned movement. And today it is also a major player in groups that are often seen as rivals. It is in the Quad with the US, Australia and Japan, but it is also in the SCO with Russia and China. It is the key part of its own neighborhood, and it is in the middle of all these new trade corridors. It is like India is a member of every important club, talking to absolutely everyone. What does this incredibly complex map mean for a rising power like India? From all these initiatives, a very clear, very deliberate strategy is emerging out. Multi-alignment in multipolar world. Global landscape is constantly shifting. India has moved from non-alignment to multi-alignment. It means the old strategy of staying on the sidelines is over. Be an active player. It is about talking to everyone, engaging with everyone to push its own national interest forward. Engage with as many different powers as you can. Build relationships and keep your options open. Just to summarize, we can divide all these groups in 4 subcategories for better understanding. 1. Global governance. Then military and security. Third one, economic and political. And finally, regional and connectivity. As you can see in this slide, there are very many more such groups and alliances worldwide. But we have taken a few which are very much in news always and are relevant to India also. So guys, our next few sessions are going to be very interesting as we are going to talk about all these organizations, groups, corridors, the trade routes one by one. Each with its own story, its own purpose and relevance to India. और ये सब चलेगा एक बहुत ही रोचक कहानी की तरह जिसे आप भूलना भी चाहें तो ना भूल पाएंगे. Okay? So finally, at the end, here comes the one big question. In this world of constantly shifting alliances and these huge competing corridors, which path, which idea is going to define the next 100 years of global power? I mean, can this complicated, sometimes messy system of alliances and groups actually keep our world from falling apart? Think over until we meet in the next session. Thank you. Good day.